virtual world. And again, you know, as we mentioned with the previous framework, based on the age and needs of the students, based on the needs of the plan, the objectives of the plan, the students should meet a range of people from the workplace for any virtual activity for benchmark 6, encouraging two-way interaction between the student and employers. And that might not necessarily be live. There could be questions and answers, you know, fielded between the student and the employer, but not necessarily live. And ideally Gatsby 6, or it should, include a task or a piece of work that the young person completes relevant to that area of employment and receive feedback from the employer. Okay, so that's just a reminder of some, and I know we did, this is revisiting work that we did in some of our meetings last year, but I think it's always useful to take stock of sometimes to revisit some of these learning points. And Ruth's going to take over next. That's right, to talk about 6 from the special school perspective.
Yeah, you all right to move the slides, Julie? Is that okay?
Move them.
Yeah. Well, not just yet, but
okay, I see what you mean. I thought you meant something more technical.
So hello everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ruth Broom. I'm the hub lead for the SEND hub. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about Gatsby 6 for special schools. I had a lot of new special schools join us in September, so it's a good opportunity to just sort of revisit this and make sure that we're all sort of singing from the same hymn sheet, really. So the in terms of the sort of minimum requirement that the Compass evaluation tool asks for is this. So it's that the students have had a meaningful experience of a workplace by or community based setting by the end of year 11, and that goes back to using that meaningful framework in the virtual world that Julie's just shown us. And then again would be for them to have, actually the wording is different, so in the year 12, 13 and above, it's that they've actually obtained a meaningful workplace experience or community-based setting. So if you could just move the slide on, Julie, and then I can just sort of explain a bit more about what that might actually look like. So this is an example really for the sort of supported employment route that young people with SEND might take, and I realise that's not what everyone wants to do. You know, it's not a one size fits all. I completely understand that. It's very tailored to the individual, but just as this just sort of sets out a model in terms of the triangle. So in those earlier years up until year 11, the bottom rung there, so the blue bit at the bottom is really the kinds of experiences that they can be having to count towards that that meaningful work experience. So it can be anything as simple as an insight day, a visit to a workplace, a tour. That can be done online. You can have your sort of community action projects in school. You might set up some sort of enterprise activity. It could be using the school as a workplace, and then sort of, you know, shadowing staff in the school and learning from what they're doing, or a certain role. It could be a challenge that's been set by an employer, or a charity, or it could be going out into the community and doing some kind of community work. So all of those things count, and I think, is my opinion, and I'm sure you're of the same opinion, that the more of that they can be doing before year 11, the better, because that is helping them to really get to understand what is out there. You know, what is the workplace, what does it look like, what are the different sectors, what are the different jobs, what does the, you know, what do these places do, because then that will help them to sort of, you know, target their thinking and start to really think about what they're interested in, so that then when they go on to obtaining a work experience after year 11, at some point it's more around what they're interested in, what they want to know more about, and that can be virtual, it can be, you know, we have got some work experience models that we're going to talk about which would fit that second rung, that orange second rung. And then obviously the more they're doing in terms of their work experience, that then starts to feed into those, you know, supported employment types of opportunities, like a supported internship, an inclusive apprenticeship, or even a role in the community, which they've decided that, you know, they've made that link with the charity or the organisation, and that continues for them as they move through education and after education. So for me, that's sort of the ideal, is what we would want that to look like as they move through school, and it's progressive, and that sort of shows that progression there. If you could just move to the next slide, Julie. So sorry, there's loads of words on here, and I don't expect you, I'm not going to go through it all now, but it's just in the slide, and I just wanted to say that I acknowledge that this is really difficult for you at the moment, and it's even more difficult for young people with special needs, because employers aren't wanting them in their workplace at all. So this is just a few hints and tips about, you know, what you could be doing in the meantime to just keep them learning about the workplace and the world of work. And we're going to go through some more opportunities in more detail in due course. So it's thinking about what can we do in the short term and what can we do in the long term. Can we use this as an opportunity to start looking at, you know, our work related learning strategy? Is it a good time for us to start thinking about our employer engagement, and actually finding those employers that would in the future want young people to come, you know, and work with them? So there's all sorts of hints and tips there on that slide, but I won't take up any more time, because I know there's quite a lot to cover, and we can cover more of that in the breakout rooms. So see you in a bit.
Thank you very much, Ruth, for sharing that, and some useful guidance, not only for our SEND schools, but for the wider network in terms of planning that programme. Now, Jackie and Louise, can you talk about the timetable of opportunities that you've collated for us, please?
Yes, certainly. Good afternoon, everybody. I think it's just going to be me. Louise is another enterprise coordinator, and we're getting some great feedback about the weekly resource bulletin that we send out. I know many of you find it really useful. Myself and Louise collate the information on there and try and get it to you each Tuesday or Wednesday. And while we were doing that, we could see how many opportunities for virtual work experience there were, and what we thought might be useful for you all, and this is only a worked example that myself and Louise have put together, just an example of between now and July, what your work experience timetable could look like. So all we've done here, and this is only a screenshot, the actual document we will send out with the slides from the meeting. This is just an example of each month, the types of opportunities that are being offered. Excuse me, my dog's coming to the background there. The types of opportunities that's been offered with the links, and we've tried to put which year groups they are relevant to. Some of them are open age. A lot of them you'll probably know from some of the websites that we're going to talk about later, Speakers for Schools, Spring Pod, etc. But we just wanted to give you a feel for the variety of things that are out there, and for the variety of age groups. Now, obviously, we've talked about meaningful experiences. On any of the resources that we put out, we do try and look that they are meaningful in some way, hopefully in every way, that, you know, there's opportunities for projects to be worked on or interaction with employers, but they're not going to meet everything. But as Julie said, it's a selection. It's nothing standalone will tick every box for you. But there are so many things out there. I think for this one, we've put 4 in every month that you could do. This would also be a great document then if you did something like this yourself. You could put on it for you, you know, the things that you want to do with your students that fit for your students. It would be great for SLT when they want to know what you're doing with regards to work experience. Something like this is a good timetable for you to show them. And also, certainly when I was a careers leader, I actually produced something like this in the last lockdown. And then for each month then I supported it with a table behind each activity with the students who participated in that. So I then had a record of who participated, and then that helped me then with any follow-up and review activities, which will then further make the opportunity meaningful. And those of you who use Compass Plus, this is the sort of thing that you can take from there and you can upload it into your Compass Plus. So you will have a copy of that. As I said, it is just something myself and Louise put together, taken from things that we send out to you from the resources. But I know what it's like when you have so much stuff coming out to you. We just thought it would be useful to put something together for you that you can tweak and fill it in yourself with certainly some of the other things we're going to speak about later. My final point would be all of these opportunities, they can go out of date very quickly. Some of them have deadlines, quite short deadlines, where you have to enrol your students or students have to enrol themselves. I do advise that you all follow our LinkedIn, Birmingham Careers Hub LinkedIn page or your Enterprise Coordinator LinkedIn page, because we try and make sure that as soon as we get these opportunities, we do put them straight onto LinkedIn. So even if there's a delay before the resource bulletin comes out, you'll find that any opportunity, one of the team will put it on LinkedIn. So you will have a copy of that. All the links are live. Myself and Louise checked it yesterday, and all these things are still open for applications. So hopefully we just thought that you'd find that useful. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Jackie. And that will be, I mean, as Jackie said, that's just a screenshot of, you know, but we will send out the actual document, and that's great. As I say, we'll be going from the theory, and this is a great resource that you can take back and adapt for your own environment. Thank you. Thank you, Jackie and Louise, for pulling that information together and for doing the weekly resource bulletin, which, as you say, many career leaders do value. Okay, so moving on to some practical examples from our employers. The first, we're delighted to have Hannah Lamont from McLaughlin and Harvey to talk about some of the work that they've been doing. So Hannah, are you okay?
I'm here. Hi, Julie.
Okay. Okay. Right,
hi, everyone. Yeah, so
thanks
I'm Hannah.
For joining us. Thank you.
No problem. That's fine. I'm Hannah. I'm the Social Value Coordinator for McLaughlin Harvey, and if you don't know who we are the principal contractor redeveloping Alexander Stadium in Perry Barr. So a bit about my role is as the Social Value Coordinator, I kind of manage the community investment. I work closely with stakeholders and the client and the supply chain as well to deliver skills and employability opportunities. But one of my favourite parts of this role is delivering the school engagement programme. So we launched our school engagement programme kind of towards the end of last year. We're also partnered with 3 schools through the Careers and Enterprise Hub. So we have 3 enterprise advisors from McLaughlin Harvey. And some of the activities that we're rolling out through the delivery of this project are on the screen here. So yeah, we have a construction resource pack that we've put together full of information about the project. There's some facts and figures about the construction industry and the roles in the industry, and quizzes tailored for students in primary schools and secondary schools. We have site visits and team talks. Obviously, when the COVID restrictions ease a little, we'll be hoping to have them on site as well. We have a careers in construction workshop that we've put together. We held our first workshop with the REACH, who I'm partnered with as an enterprise advisor. The workshop consisted of a presentation and a question and answer session with the students in year 11. We do recognise that the barriers to entry in this industry and people experience, you know, these barriers to entry are likely to, you know, not have a chance to enter the industry, and it's just shown that 1 hour of employer engagement sessions can make a young person 3 times more likely to be not in education, employment or training in the future, which makes this type of engagement really important for us. And yeah, as I mentioned, included in the workshop was the question and answer session. So some of the project team from McLaughlin and Harvey came on to the workshop, and the students had that opportunity to ask them questions about their role, how they got into the industry and their role on the project at the moment. There was a lot of questions around salaries, which was interesting, and it was received really well by the students, and we're looking forward to delivering it with the other schools we're partnered through with the Careers and Enterprise Hub shortly. Another great initiative, sorry, could I just go to the next slide?
Yes, sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, another really great initiative that we're launching is the art competition. We're launching this with the schools that we're partnered with and also primary schools across Perry Barr. We want to engage with the schools for students to learn all about the redevelopment of the stadium, and they'll have the chance to produce artwork that depicts, as examples, sporting moments or what the stadium means to them, and incorporating the use of well, the art curriculum, so understanding colour, use of line, tone, texture, etc. And the winners of the competition will have their art displayed on our site hoardings. In order to support schools to engage in the competition, we've put together a resource pack, and that includes curriculum-based materials. The official designers of the stadium, Arup, have also supported with the resource pack, and it shows in a primary school and you know, the schools we're partnered with in a friendly way, the design of the new West Stand and how it incorporates different elements of the art curriculum. So really excited to share that once we've kind of got the schools on board. So we're engaging with schools across Perry Barr and our careers leads through the schools we're partnered with, and then we plan to launch the competition in early February. And then the timeframes for the art going up on the hoarding will hopefully be in April. And sorry, could I go to the next slide? Thank you. Another resource that we're sharing with schools is the skills profile resources. They map out vocational and professional routes into the built environment, and these have been created to show routes into different careers and roles in the industry. And specifically the ones that have been created are actually people who have previously worked or are currently working on the Alexander Stadium redevelopment projects, from supply chain partners and kind of the senior project manager from Mace, etc. So hopefully the students find them really useful as well. And then one opportunity we do have for students that we're partnered with the schools that we're partnered with, sorry, is community ambassadors. So we did have plan to have a visitor centre on site, and because of COVID, it isn't up and running yet. But the visitor centre's purpose was for stakeholders, the community and residents to drop in and learn more about the project and how they can get involved. So we want students to take up this role from the schools that we're partnered with and to take on the role as community ambassadors. So hopefully, again, once COVID's eased, that'll be another great activity that'll be going on there. And I think that's it from me. Thank you for the opportunity for me to come on and speak to everyone.
Thanks, Hannah. And I hope you'll stay around and join the discussion later if you can.
Yeah, of course.
Are there any questions for Hannah in the chat, or I think there's some great examples there. Is the art competition just for primary?
So I did mention primary schools there. It's for primary schools across Perry Barr, but then we're opening this competition to the schools that we're partnered with through the Careers and Enterprise Hub, which is, well, my school's the Reach, and then it's Baskerville, and I can't remember the other one. But if any other schools through the Careers and Enterprise Hub in Birmingham want to get involved, just please contact me and we'll be delighted to have your involvement in it too. Okay, thanks. So you're happy for us to share your details, Hannah? Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I think those skills profiles are great, because so often we talk, you know, about things like project managers and, you know, without perhaps really understanding, you know, perhaps young people not fully understanding what those jobs roles involve. So that's great.
Yeah, that's it. I think one thing that I took away from the workshop was lots of students think, oh, university is the only way, but it really isn't.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, looking at your workforce, obviously, you know, a range of routeways. Yes. So are there any questions for Hannah, or at this stage? Hopefully there'll be a chance for people to meet with Hannah in the group later.
Yeah, I think you've asked all the questions, Julie, but I think
I'm psyched.
I mentioned to Hannah about, because obviously Hannah is working with special schools and the Reach, and that the art competition would be perhaps relevant for the special schools as well as primary schools. So yeah, I think if that's okay, if we can get your details out, Hannah.
That's fine. I'll put them on the chat here now.
Thanks, Hannah. That's great.
Julie, just to mention, there are a couple of questions just on, and it might be something that we cover throughout the session, two that have come up about tracking students participating in the activities. So that's obviously going to be really relevant for anything we're talking about today, but I think it's going to be relevant for all our careers leaders. So it may be something we discuss as we move along. And also, that I think this will come up as one of the maybe the barriers about safeguarding implications on virtual work experiences, and I think that's something that's probably going to come along in our discussion today anyway. But it's probably something we just need to bear in mind, that these are kind of like the questions that are coming up.
Okay, yes, and certainly perhaps the safeguarding will come. We've got a couple more presentations from employers and speakers for schools, so that the issue of safeguarding might be addressed there. And certainly that idea of how we're tracking students, perhaps we can look at in our and some examples in our breakout groups. Okay, thanks very much, Hannah. So next it's Marie and Rita, I think, doing a double act from Marie and Rita are should be familiar to the careers leaders, two of our cornerstone employers, and have been doing a fair bit of work around Gatsby Benchmark 6. So I'll hand over to you both. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think Rita's going to go first.
Okay, thanks, Marie, but feel free to chip in at any point anyway, so it's fine. So just a quick introduction. So I'm Rita Patel-Miller. I'm the social value lead for Lend-Lease for the Midlands, and currently working on the Perry-Bar residential scheme, which is to create over 1,000 new homes for local people in Birmingham, and it's part of a legacy project for the Commonwealth Games as well. So what I wanted to sort of focus on for this session today was about the virtual work experience for single-use plastics. So the reason we sort of went with single-use plastics was because it is a global subject area. It becomes quite emotional and engaging as it sort of impacts on people from all ages, from businesses, from communities. So it seemed like a really good kind of subject area and topic area to develop a virtual work experience around. I think the big secret for us was to plan this individual kind of session with each school. So it's about recognising that needs of each particular school and what they wanted, what their time frame is, what the duration you know, of the work placement should be. I mean, it is a 5-day work placement, but we've delivered it over a week during sort of half-term time, and we've also delivered it 1 day per week for one of our SEND schools, which was Oscar Manor. The other thing as well is to confirm the number of students and the year group. So it's very much about working in partnership with the school to make sure it fits, and the activities and kind of speakers that we have are also sort of aware of what's required by the school. So having a clear timetable in place, speakers, any kind of films, information and activities, again sharing those, having the business and partner commitment. So we've got the buy-in from Lend-Lease as a whole, and then also on our project at Perry-Bar, we've got some fantastic big partners really that are our tier 1 providers, which are Wilmot Dixon, Kia, Vinci and Mondelez, who support us in delivering you know, sort of this work placement. So it really gives it's not just one person talking, we get some input from across a range of employers. And then we also got buy-in from World Against Single-Use Plastics, which is an external organisation that actually works in reducing and eliminating single-use plastics, works in schools and carries out a lot of activities. So again, there's another organisation involved that's very kind of linked into the subject area. It's having a pre-delivery preparation with the schools, working through the programme, pre-delivery briefing with the employer partners so everybody knows what they're doing. And then employers are also, their inputs are broken down throughout the day. So what I mean by that is you're not having students sitting in front of a laptop, listening to, or a screen, if you like, just seeing one person speaking to them throughout the day. It's more about having that kind of flexible and sort of blended employer input. So we might start the day off and then have another input within the day, within mid-afternoon, and then again later on in the afternoon, so that we're setting activities and checking in with the students and giving them, you know, real work experience really, because they are asked to do activities and roles while they're offline from us. And then it also gives them a real set of competencies around work related competencies, working independently, problem solving, communicating, you know, working to deadlines, working as part of a team. And again, what we've also done is linking the MEPLC programme to the work experience, so they can link it back to their career aspirations, about building their confidence to speak to employers and presenting as well. And it's about working and communicating with those employer partners as well. So it gets them used to working people out of their age group, out of that school environment. They're working with, you know, adults in a workplace. Getting them to present their ideas, creating innovation and creativity, so really getting the students to take ownership of their ideas. And we find in a lot of circumstances that they really do take ownership of this subject area as well, about what they want to do. We've got a few kind of eco champions. We want to create single-use ambassadors, and you do naturally create them throughout the day. And it's great to see the transition from maybe some shyness and, you know, reluctance to engage. By the end of the week, you know, we can really see the students coming out in their own, and definitely from both schools, Eden Boys School and Oscott Manor School, it was just great to see the engagement from the students. You know, it was great to see them sort of talking to you about the subject area and their passion coming out. It was absolutely fantastic. The other thing is that there is an accreditation linked to this, so all students completing the programme will get a silver award, an industrial cadet award, and again, like I put that, it's that elation and job satisfaction for us as well as employers to see students get so passionate, and to see their skills developing as well, to see them really embrace you know, that work ethic as well, and working in a real, as much as they can, in the next best thing, in a virtual work environment. And as we all know, this is the real working environment for us during COVID as well, so they can sort of get that feel from us as well as employers, having to deliver it from home as well. If we can have the next slide as well, please. So the next slide there is just showing you, this is Eden Boys School, showing us their certificates on the last day, and some of the ideas that they came up with there. They designed a poster and a display, and the next slide as well, where they also came up with a poem about our planet, which is great. And the other thing is, this isn't the end of it as well. So what we're doing now is we're looking at how we can use this subject area for our hoardings. So we're working with Birmingham Metropolitan College now to take some of these ideas from students and to display them on our hoarding around the site, so the community can engage not only in the whole concept of reducing single-use plastics, but seeing what ideas students have come up and using some of those ideas to engage the community in sort of preserving the planet really, and recycling. So I think the next slide, is that for you, Marie? Oh yeah, this is some of the feedback. So some of the feedback we've had from the students then. So things like they enjoyed working with many professionals and who work in different fields. It gave them an idea of different jobs. They also found it informative, interesting, inspiring. This is coming from the students, they'd recommend it to other schools. It helped them increase their communication skills, and also they wanted to really get to writing to employers or MPs to sort of make a difference and start making a change as well, which was great. And I think that's the end of my part.
Thanks, Rita. Over to Wilmot Dixon. So my name's Marie and I'm a community engagement manager at Wilmot Dixon, and we've been running a virtual work experience programme in partnership with Speakers for Schools. So Speakers for Schools have really managed all the safeguarding aspect of the virtual work experience. So they've been a great partner to work with, and they've really helped us on our journey to virtual work experience. This was our first programme. We delivered it back in October, so it was very new to us. It was a learning curve, and Speakers for School were absolutely fantastic with the mentoring they gave us to help us deliver it. So it's a 5-day programme. We ran it from 10 to 1 over the 5 days. We thought 3 hours was plenty of time for the young people to be sat in front of a computer screen, and we thought if we broke off for lunch, we didn't know if we'd lose some of the students coming back in the afternoon. So we felt 10 to 1 was a perfect time for delivering the programme. We aimed it at years 10 to 13. Basically, we just thought because of the learning content within the work experience week, it would be better aimed at those students. It's not set in stone, and we've had some schools who are looking for year 7s and 8s to be involved in it, and we're running it again in the February half term, and we are reviewing the age group, and we're splitting it so we can accommodate year 7 as well. So it's really about careers in construction management. So some of the white collar roles and some of the roles that young people probably don't know exist. We do, there's some guest speakers, so within the week's work experience we have different guest speakers. They're live guest speakers. They talk about their job roles, how they got into construction, their career journey. One of the questions which we got asked an awful lot back in October was, do you need a degree to get into construction? And I think a lot of young people think you have to go down the degree route in university, and definitely not. You can get in with an apprenticeship, and I know some of our guest speakers said, yes, I have got a degree, but it's in geography or history. It's not related to construction. So I think that was quite an eye-opener for some of the young people. Also, one of our guest speakers was from our digital technology team, and again, he's a young guy, and a lot of students don't realise before we actually build something out of bricks and mortar, we build it in a virtual 3D reality first. So he came on and said, I get paid for working with a remote control PlayStation for the whole of the week. So again, that opened the eyes to some of the students. So as part of the programme, as well as the guest speakers and learning about the different job roles within the construction industry, the students have to work on a project. So they've given a project brief and a pack of parts, and they actually have to plan, design, cost and pitch a school that they want to build. So taking in all what they've learned from the guest speakers throughout the week, they then work in, we deliver it over Google Classrooms. Students break off into groups within the Google Classrooms platform, and they work in teams to put together their own pitch. On the Thursday then, they pitch their ideas to a panel of Wilmot Dixon guests. We were really blown away by some of the pitches. Some of them had used SketchUp, and they'd really put a lot of effort. They thought about sustainability and everything else. Some of them had gone under budget, and they said they wanted to use the remaining budget to give to a charity. Some of the students had gone way over budget, but they were trying to sell it to us on why they'd gone over budget. And then on the final day of the week, we talk about employability skills. We do a little bit on a branding session for their personal statement. Our HR, someone from our HR department sits in on the call and explains to the students what she would look for in a CV, in an application form, and also within the interview process. So some really good tips about preparing for an interview and actually taking the interview. And then on the last slide, Julie, we've got some feedback on just some comments from the students that took part in the work experience week. So Again, it wasn't all about construction. It was more about project managing. We did cover the job roles in constructions, but there was far more to it than actually construction itself. And that's it from me, Julie. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Rita and Marie, for sharing that. And I think it's another great example, really, of the sort of planned delivery, you know, putting in, I suppose, a practical example of what I was talking at the beginning about, that planning with the school, with the employers, about a relevant programme. And I think you've both shown the flexibility of it. You know, we need to perhaps move away from that idea it has to be a lengthy experience. Even a shorter experience can be of benefit to the young person. So that's great. Are there any questions for Marie and Rita?
I think it's all happening in the chat.
I was going to say, I think it's been answered in the chat. Yeah, it's all
Okay.
good.
Good morning. Good afternoon, sorry. Hi, Julie. Hi, everybody. I've just put a question in the chat. I don't know if you've picked that up from, well, both Wilmot Dixon and Lendies. So we're looking to do a programme in July that's just over 2 days, the final week. Do you think these programmes could be adapted to just a 2-day programme?
Yes. Yeah, we would be able to do that. We're quite flexible on our delivery.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely, because there's things that they still can do during home as well. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because a great thing that's happening at the moment is we're getting inundated with virtual work experience, which is fantastic. But because it's happening in the holidays, we're only getting small numbers of pupils that are signing up voluntarily. We want to do something in school that, of course, all pupils can get involved in.
Yeah,
we'd definitely be able to do that.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, don't forget we can learn from you as well. So I know, like Dee's asked a couple of questions in the chat as well, and you know we will be as flexible as we need to be, because we really understand that, you know, in this time as well, young people do need that engagement. So, you know, please, you know, your ideas, we haven't got the answers to everything, so we're more than open. This is what I was trying to say, is we need to work with you to make this work for you as well. So, you know, we're more than open to do that.
Sounds great, thank you. Is it best to email you both individually to carry on planning and getting something on the calendar?
We'll work closely together, so don't, you know, even if it's one or the other, we're more than happy. But yeah, please feel free to contact us.
Okay, could you put your email addresses in the chat for me, please?
Yeah.
Thank you both.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, any more questions? Or yeah, I'm sorry I moved the slides on at that point, Marie. I wasn't.
Oh, it's okay.
I just was multitasking and pressed the wrong.
I thought you were hurrying me
along.
No.
Okay.
Just before, if Rita could go on mute, because I think there's some background noise to Rita, isn't there? That's in your. Thanks. Thank you.
Rita, Marie, I hope you'll be able to stay around for the discussion groups. That'd be great. Thank you. Okay, so moving on, Sarah Cleveley, welcome from Speakers for Schools. We've had already some brief introduction to Speakers for Schools. So welcome, Sarah, and if you'd like to take us through your presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, thanks for that. I'll just let you know when to move on slides, if that's all right. So take my video off. So I've had a great introduction there from Wilmot Dixon, so that's a great start. But I'm Sarah Cleveley, I'm the head of the Midlands, and we're Speakers for Schools, and currently supporting employers and schools for young people across the Midlands to access virtual work experience. So if you could just move on to the next slide. So I'm going to fly through this, but these are our values. So we believe in access for all to the top opportunities. So we only work with state schools, and we really try and target the highest needs students to prioritise those students that wouldn't get these opportunities otherwise. We're a not-for-profit charity with a firm focus on impact, so we work to deliver a difference. So our chairman, Andrew Law, is our main funder, and the rest of our funding comes from fundraising and foundations. So we can offer our service to schools and colleges for free. Some organisations decide to work with us on a costed model because of their capacity, and they want to deliver so much over the UK. We have a full UK coverage now. So we've gone from 8 staff last year to 80 currently. So we cover every corner of the UK, but 90% of our employers work on our self-service free model. And our main ambition is that young people get the opportunities to reach both regional employers and large national employers. We focus on service, so we support our employers and we support our schools and colleges to make sure that you can engage and join our seamless kind of portal system. Next slide. So after 10 years, our charity's been here for 10 years, and Robert Peston was our founder, and he wants to fast track us to deliver 1 million experiences a year across every region by 2023. So an ambitious plan, but we are on target for that, with a keen focus on the highest needs to improve social mobility. Next slide. So, and then the next slide. So today I'm just going to quickly go over what a work experience might look like. So our story, we connect employers to our portal, and we coach those employers to develop high quality work experience. We do not support employers to download videos. This is about interaction. As you can see there, 98% of our opportunities hit Gatsby benchmark 5 and 6. So we're aware of what they are, and it's all about interaction, feedback, live, project work. So all of the things that Wilmot Dixon talked about, we coach all employers to try and do a lot of that. We offer our seamless management system. So we've got a platform that the employers use to upload their opportunity, and also the schools and the career leaders log into that portal. And on there, once you are registered as a career lead, you then encourage your young people to register. So then they go in and register, and they can look around the opportunities and apply. The application process is really simple. It's not a full-blown, 3-page application. We encourage the employers to ask between 2 and 4 simple questions to help the employer choose which young people to choose. And it's a really simple application process. The reason we do that is to make sure we remove as many barriers as possible to get those young people on. The other thing you can do as career lead from the portal is send the opportunities direct to the young people you want to target. So there's 2 ways of young people engaging. You send them the opportunities, or they go on and look at the opportunities, or it can be a blended approach. The next slide. So our impact, just on this slide, I wanted to share that 55% of young people who have completed a placement with us to date are of the very highest needs, and we're really proud of that. And that's a lot about both the career leads targeting those young people and the employers targeting those young people. This does not exclude any other student within state schools, but it's one of our main focuses. And the next slide. So here are our options. Currently, we're only offering virtual. So we do a virtual insight day and virtual placement. So the insight day is really flexible. So it can be, a short or longer day. And it's a real, what we say, buffet cart of an organisation, where you can really show the young people all the different ways you can get involved in that industry. Virtual placements can be 3 or 5 days, so they don't need to be the traditional 5-day. I know a lot of the chat was talking about when the placements are, and what we're doing is we are having sessions with a lot of the schools to try and really gauge when they want those sessions. So although a lot of the asks have been for school holidays, there's equally schools asking for not in school holidays. So we're really trying to be that in between to kind of guide the employer to offer those placements, and that's why the insight days are great, because they really can be delivered in school time and tend to be really well attended. We're finding that applications for placements within the school holidays are really high, but I don't think that's the only place we should be offering placements. So I think it's a 50-50 kind of looking at the end of June and July, but really keen to hear individual schools comments and what, you know, the other thing is a lot of schools are coming to us saying we want to work with this employer on a certain 2 or 3 days, and that employers agreeing to that, and we can support the employers to deliver the placement on our virtual platform. We use Google Classrooms, and we've chosen that as you know, for us, one of the most safeguarding ways to actually deliver. So if we go on to the next slide, I think the next slide is around safeguarding. So what we do is we have a full visible audit trail of the application process. So that's all done via us, not the employer, and no application can go to the employer until the career leaders kind of agreed that that young person can apply, and they have a form to fill out. Our employers host their digital content entirely with Speakers for Schools platform. So we set up that platform, we give the employer a login, which is unpersonalised, and we also give the young people a login 2 days before the placement, and those logins for the young people are destroyed after the placement. We can also access the classroom at any time. So this protects the identity of the young people around kind of personal emails and things like that. All communications within the classroom is transparent. We don't allow classrooms with less than 5 students. So if an employer came to us and said we just want to offer a placement to 5 students, for instance, we wouldn't really support that, because of obviously if we have one person drop out, that would drop underneath our kind of minimum. No breakout room would have less than 5 students as well, which obviously means that there's no one-to-one working, and all employees and students sign up to a code of conduct on how they, you know, how we expect people to behave around that placement. Okay, next slide. This is our cycle of delivery, and the reason I'm sharing this is that we have a cycle from when the company put their ad on the portal to delivery day. So I think it was mentioned earlier that the sooner you get your young people onto our portal to look at these opportunities, they are coming on daily now. We're working with 330 employers. It's growing every day, and we've got 1,682 schools now signed up. So and employers are coming thick and fast for very different times of the year. Some are in the holidays, some aren't, and hopefully as we get to more towards June and July, they will be within term time. So those young people need to not miss those deadlines. So it's about looking throughout the year, and us nudging and supporting you guys to be able to enable your young people to keep applying. But there is a 6-week cycle, so you know, it's not last minute. It has to be, there'll be a 3 to 4 week cut-off date from the advert to the actual placement. So the sooner the young people can get on there, even if you're looking for June, we're now encouraging employers that if they want to engage with us and do a work placement in June, that they need to be listing them now, so you as a school can start making those plans. Next slide. There's some of the clients that we currently work with. This has grown massively since this slide was put together, but a real flavour of some of the national organisations, and we're now getting a lot more regional organisations that really want to support young people in their regional area. So some of the adverts will be ring fenced for your area, which make sure that the students in your school who live in that area get kind of first go at applying for these opportunities. And then the next slide. So that kind of concludes what I've put together for the 10 minutes I was given. But following on from this, if anyone wants to register with us, they simply, and I'll send this out afterwards, sign on to our link and register with us. It will take about a week for you to get your login from registering with us, and at that point you can then join one of our many webinars. They're 30 minutes, which shows you how to use our portal. It is really simple, and then after that you'll be more than confident to then get your young people to start signing. Young people can't sign into our portal until you're registered, because when they try and sign in, their school needs to be there as registered. It will automatically come on the drop down box, so you need to register first, then need to get your young people. Schools that have had real success with this have been schools that have done a session around registering the young people onto the portal. It's a really simple thing to do, but it just gets people starting to look, and hopefully some of them large organisations will get some of those young people really kind of engaged. And that concludes my presentation. Any questions, I'm more than happy to take.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Yeah. Are there any questions?
Again, I think there's a lot of information going through the chat box. So I think there's a lot of questions being answered as we're talking, really. So there's some, if people aren't seeing the chat function go through, There have been some input from different schools about issues of safeguarding and making sure that students and parents are taking that responsibility. So if you haven't seen the chat, have a look in there, because there could be some good responses for you.
Yeah.
But I think most of the questions have been answered in there, Julie, to be honest.
Okay, thanks very much, Sarah. And I think, in terms, I haven't seen the chat, but in terms, it sounds as though Speakers for Schools, for perhaps schools that can't manage safeguarding, that you have a process in place to support schools with that.
Hi, Julie. Sorry, I can't see the hand up option. Is it okay to ask a question?
Yes.
So something we've been discussing in the chat is to all the organisations that are offering virtual work experience. Are schools supposed to be collecting an additional consent from parents in addition to the applications they have for safeguarding purposes and data sharing? Do you know?
So is that for Speakers for School, or is that for the employers, that question?
Well, any organisation that's offering a virtual work experience that's happening outside of school hours,
Yeah.
Should the schools be collecting additional consent from parents about sharing their data with these organisations?
I don't know if an employer wants to answer that on the call.
Yeah, I mean, we worked with Speakers for School purely for the reason because they dealt with all that for us. So we didn't actually contact the students directly until everything had been passed through Speakers for Schools. So we had no direct contact with them until a day before, well, until the programme started, really. So Speakers for Schools dealt with all that side for us.
Okay, so moving on to that, Speakers for Schools ask the career lead to fill out a form, and the only thing they have to fill out on the form is just a sign to say that the student, you feel that the student is okay to apply for this placement, i.e. that they would be able to cope with this level of placement. It does also ask you to tick a box to say that you have sought parental permission, but we leave that with the school. So it's within your policy of what you do for a young person doing work placements, and that then once you've got that permission, you would tick that box, and then we would know that you've sought parental permission. We are currently putting a letter template, because we get asked a lot, although schools have their own templates, so we're just putting a letter template together to try and support career leads and teachers to have a letter template from ourselves, but that would be put onto the school to do that, and we just ask that you've done it.
Yeah, I have actually done that for 3 of our pupils last week, so I saw the area in which to put that information. I spoke to those parents on the phone to make sure they were happy. Yeah. But there are some other virtual work placements that we don't always get to find out that our students have applied.
Right.
So it's difficult then to have those conversations with parents. And I don't know, I suppose we probably need to think about a template for all of these placements that schools produce and send out and get the consent in return.
I suppose it is a bit like the normal work experience where you would get parental permission for students' experience. But I suppose, as you say, Michelle, if you don't know that the students is accessing experience, then it's difficult.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah, Marie, and Michelle. Any others? Okay. Should we move on? I think, Ruth.
Hi, yeah, I just wanted to make you all aware of this work experience opportunity that's coming up in conjunction with National Careers Week, and it's being done through the Careers and Enterprise Company, via ourselves to you kind of thing. So this is specifically targeted at young people with SEND groups 1 and 2 and alternative provision and pupil referral units. Just to make a note of it in your calendar that it is sort of like a series of sessions where the young people, they get the opportunity to look at different sectors, develop employability skills, prepare for their next steps, and experience a day in the life of a young employee. But they're all separate, so they don't have to be done in a particular, they don't have to be done in that week, so they can be done any time. but the only thing that to make it meaningful, you would need to participate in the live Q&A with an employer on the Friday, the 5th of March. So we're still getting information through for this, but you know, just to sort of give you the heads up, and that this is coming. So if you've got you know, a cohort of students that perhaps you know, the standard virtual work experience is not applicable to them, then this will be applicable to them. So yeah, that's coming soon.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you for sharing that, and we'll watch that space. And Mike.
Yes, I'm here. I'm just going to try and share my screen so I can show everybody the work experience on our right. It'll stop the presentation, Julie. Is that okay? Will you be able to restart the presentation, or do you want me just to talk?
No, I'll stop sharing. Okay.
You will all know us as the enterprise coordinators from the Careers and Enterprise Company, but we are match funded by an organisation called the Birmingham Education Partnership. One of the things we've been trying to work on recently is making sure we have got presence on the what we know as the BEP website, to give you access to resources. So we're looking at the ways we're sharing our resources. So you've been receiving your weekly spreadsheets from Jackie and Louise. There's also been the information that Jackie shared earlier about the work experience opportunities. But on our website, firstly, can I just check, Julie, can you see the BEP website at the moment?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So on our website, so it's just www.bep.education, and you'll see across the top bar, we've now got the Birmingham Careers Hub drop-down menu. Now, all of these pages are being added to at the moment. So they're being constructed at the moment. So if you find some that haven't got information at the moment, they are being built and expanded. One of the things related to work experience is we've started to build some work experience opportunities so that you've got access to opportunities. We hear about them and they go straight on our website. This is just an example at the moment. We've got platforms that will go to the bottom. So we've got our Speakers for Schools links and SpringPod. So all you need to do is click on those icons, and it will take you through to the relevant sites. But we're now starting to put on virtual work experiences, and these more local to start with. So we'll expand these options to being focused on what we want to focus on, which the growth sectors for Birmingham. So where there are lots of opportunities for students, that'll be a main section about the growth sectors for Birmingham, followed by national opportunities as well that come from the CEC. But the idea with these drop-down menus is, as I said, this is just an example. So these are only a handful that have gone up so far. The idea is that if you click into one of the subject areas, you'll find the link in there for the organisation. It will give you some snapshot information of what's on offer, how long it's for, the kind of roles it covers, and the application closing dates are there as well. And all you need to do is click the bit at the bottom, say find out more, and that will take you through to that relevant site. So if I click that one, it will take you through to HSBC with the application form and all the information you need to fill in to actually get hold of that. Now, that's going to be obviously open to students to use as well if they want to go in and go straight into that site and have a look at the opportunities. We'll continue to add into these to try and make it a one location for you to find your work experience. So we'll start to expand those. And as we find more that go into professional services, we have got lots more anyway, they just need to go onto the site. As we find more that go to professional services, we'll drop a link in there, and the same with all these sectors, but they'll all expand. So you'll see this growing over the coming days. But you'll also see the other areas of our Careers Hub developing as we've got other areas that you can get hold of. We'll start to populate this with any newsletters that go, that actually, we've got an archive of the newsletters that we release, resources that we're getting hold of, encounters, so benchmark 5s, and send specific resources as well. So this will start to really develop, but it's just to kind of highlight that we've got the work experience opportunities that will go on our website, and we'll give a reminder when we're sending some notification out to say we have hosted more, but I'd probably suggest just keeping your eyes peeled for that, because we'll continue to post more and more opportunities, and this will really start to expand and take a bit more shape. But it's through the BEP website, which you'll find a lot more information about the careers team and the Careers Hub team. So it's all there for you. So if you went to bep.education, And we'll put the link in the follow-up as well, and you should be seeing lots of information popping up there. And that's probably all from me, Julie, I think.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Okay, I think the next part is the breakout rooms. So I won't reshare the screen. It's nice to see a few faces as opposed to talking to the screen. Yeah, so the next stage, for about 10 minutes, we're going to move into breakout rooms, which Mike has organised for us, just to spend the 10 minutes just reflecting on what we've heard this afternoon, thinking about what opportunities are available, you know, and perhaps something about how you record the students' experiences. And, you know, what would it's all, there's some great stuff there, but what else is needed, perhaps? What would be even better if?
Pulls you out that session, doesn't it?
Gosh, that was a quick 5-10 minutes. That went really quickly. Okay, is everybody back? Well, I don't know. If you're not back, you won't know.
Everyone's back.
Silly question. Okay, so we'll just have, because I'm conscious we've got 10 minutes left. So if we can just quickly go around each breakout room, and just a couple of learning points, couple of points that came out of the discussion. I won't start with one because that was me. So should we go with 3?
Yeah, I made some notes for breakout room 3. So it was Debbie Beckford from Swanshurst had some good ideas about what she's doing. So doing sessions after school in their own time. So the students finish at 2:20. And then Debbie does some sessions, firstly around post-16 progression, but then actually the students choose sectors that they're interested in. And then they have speakers to come and speak to them about those sectors. That's also promoted to other year groups as well, year 11, year 10 and year 9. So all of those year groups get an opportunity. But I think the key thing that Debbie highlighted was having the support of the pastoral team. So the heads of year, the pastoral team support it, and it goes out to the students, and also the parents are aware as well, so they can support it from home. I think that was everything, Debbie, was it?
And then I manage it by team, so I'll set all the meetings up, etc. And although we, as I said in the meeting, we email all the students in the whole year group when it's a generic type thing. Students are inherently lazy, don't always meet the deadlines. So as soon as that cut-off time is there, we say, right, that's it, no one else can jump into that. So it becomes quite competitive for them to get in super quick, or they miss out. But by doing it right at the end of the day, when they're still fresh on learning, or at least online, it's not taking up too much of their time, and we're rigid about the time that we say we're going to do it. So if we say it's going to be 5 minutes at the end of the day, or 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is, we keep to that time. And even if we're running out, we'll actually say, oh, apologies, we've got to stop because this is what we told you. So it makes for quite a succinct presentation, and employers don't have to come in live, they can send pre-recorded information as well. That allows us then to have a bank of videos. So it's going quite well, actually.
Thanks, Debbie. That's great. Okay, number 4.
Oh, I'm mute, sorry. For number 4, Natalie spoke about Medic Mentors and how successful that had been with year 10, and assignments were set, and you know, the experiences that the students were getting were very meaningful, and the assignments were being marked by members of the science team. So Medic Mentors came out very well from that, and I think we all agreed that Speakers for Schools and the opportunities that came out with them. Vince spoke about how he's having some success now in his organisation with students taking up I think it was a construction opportunity with weight. So that was spoke very positively. And there was a question for Speakers in Schools about send particular activities, and were these easy to find, or were these well advertised on that website if they were suitable for those students?
Yeah, oh, I don't know. Sarah wants to say anything about that.
Does Sarah want to? Can you answer that, Sarah?
I think
Sarah's had to go.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, we can pick that up afterwards. Okay.
So,
okay, sorry, Ruth.
Sorry, Julie. I was just going to segue for answer the question and then move into group 2. So just so we in our group we were speaking. We did have a lady from Speakers for Schools, and it is more difficult to find the SEND opportunities, but we are working with Speakers for Schools. I'm working with Speakers for Schools to develop an offer for SEND. So that's coming, and it's hopefully, and Speakers for Schools are doing that across the Midlands. So we're hoping that that's going to really promote that learning and increase those kinds of opportunities. So it's work in progress, but it is happening. And one of the things that was really heartening was to hear from we did quite a lot of networking in our group, I think, but Claire from HBBC was saying how brilliant it is to hear that there are opportunities for SEND. So she's going to be linking up with Rita about single-use plastics. And also Claire said that she's actually secured a virtual supported internship for one of her students, which is absolutely fantastic. So the virtual world can work. It's just we just need to push the boundaries a little bit. And also we did speak about how a work experience opportunity with Rita that James had done in 4 Dwellings had translated into a job, so that one of the young people is actually working for them now. So it does show that work experience is, it is a brilliant opportunity for all. So yeah, I think that was about it.
And if you look at the Me, I think I'm right, is that if you look at the Me PLC resources, where young people produce their 29-second pitch, one of the example pitches was from, I think, one of the young people who'd done work experience with Lend-Lease and then secured a job with them. So that's a great success story.
And I think as well, just in answer to that question, Springpod are doing some bespoke programmes potentially for SEND. So that's something to look at for your school if you've got that, if you're wanting a bit more differentiation.
Just to add, Springpod are probably going to speak at the next careers clinic, so they can go into more detail about that.
Okay, thanks Ruth, thanks David. And certainly in terms of our group, I'm very positive about the opportunities that Speakers for Schools offer, because it was great that the opportunities we have FE colleges in the network now, so these opportunities aren't just for schools, they are for our colleges as well. So the opportunities we send out will specify the age range of the students. We did spend a bit of time about how we ensure that every student is accessing those experiences, which is a challenge. Sometimes, you can send them out, but you don't know students engage. And I mean, I know that one school that talked about getting young people to evidence that they'd been on that work experience. But one of the learning points that came out of from Speakers for Schools and other careers leaders was about getting students to promote it, that students are more likely to, if they've engaged with virtual work experience, getting them to promote it, and often students will listen to other students about the benefits in a different way from which they listen to us. Okay, so thank you very much. I'm sorry that the discussion was brief, but it was great to have this facility for a change and, to engage in more discussion. And just that leads us nicely into the mini clinics, which will be taking place the week after next. Which will give an opportunity to follow up on today's session in much more of a career leader-led discussion. So you will be sent out information to register for a mini clinic, and we've found in the past, smaller groups of it can give you an opportunity to share ideas in more detail, some of the challenges, but as we've seen while we're having constant battles, that we're seeing some great opportunities. So we will send you information about the mini clinics. Are there any other updates from the team? or anyone else? Quickly, we've got about 3 minutes, no pressure.
There was just a question, Julie, from Michelle about does a a virtual tour count as a workplace visit? And my answer would be yes, but to make it meaningful, you still need to have some sort of interaction at some point with the employer.
Yeah, and I think that ties into another question from Michelle earlier to ask about, does a pre-recorded video count as an interaction? And I think the same goes with the point Ruth just made, that there needs to be that interaction to make it meaningful. So I think on both those cases, it really needs to have some sort of interaction.
Yes, and it goes back to how we started, really, about it being not a one-off event, but part of the wider programme. But definitely there needs to be some sort of interaction and feedback from the student. Yeah.
I had one as well, Julie, if I can throw in. We mentioned in one of the early careers clinics about potentially hearing more from Zello. So if you were using Cascade or Kudos, there's a further program called Zello. So we've got a potential meeting. So they're hosting a meeting on the 3rd of February just for Birmingham careers leaders between 3:30 and 4:30 to explain about what Zello is. So if you already use only the Cascade or Kudos, there may be a step-up opportunity for you with Zello. So we can provide the links for the meeting, but there's an opportunity to hear directly from them on the 3rd of February.
Okay. Thank you very much, which brings us, it's just about to turn 5 o'clock. So a huge thank you to everybody, particularly, our speakers, presenters and careers leaders for taking part, because always, it's great to have the input from speakers, but at the same time, it's also fantastic to hear from each other about what you're doing to support each other. So yeah, thank you very much for your attendance this afternoon, and we'll keep you posted about further resources, further events and further opportunities. So take good care, and lovely to see you all. Thank you.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you. Take care.